This video is brought to you by Nebula.
Spanish politics has felt pretty chaotic for a while now. Last summer's inconclusive general election has left Catalan separatists playing kingmakers at the national level, and polling currently suggests that separatist parties, either individually or combined, will win in both Catalonia and the Basque Country's upcoming regional elections. So, in this video, we're going to unpack the recent history of these separatist movements, why they're polling so well right now, and explore whether a resurgent separatist threat could compel Madrid to hold independence referendums.
Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos.
Let's start by delving into the historical context of these independence movements, which both received a degree of self-governance in 1979. Despite this, the Basque Country remained a hotbed for conflict, experiencing decades of violent separatism, spearheaded by the armed Basque nationalist separatist group ETA. However, since the dissolution of ETA in 2011, home rule in the Basque Country has gone remarkably smoothly, rarely requiring intervention from Madrid. Catalan politics, on the other hand, was relatively peaceful until the late 2000s. However, after the Constitutional Tribunal gutted Catalonia's Statute of Autonomy in 2010, separatist sentiment grew quickly, culminating in a quick dash for independence, via an unauthorized referendum in 2017. Subsequently, the Spanish government, then led by the right-wing People's Party, or PP, imposed direct rule over Catalonia, dismissed the Catalan government, and jailed several pro-independence figures, which prompted the self-exile of Carles Puigdemont, the leader of Junts, the hardline separatist party. At the time, there was some anxiety in Madrid that its crackdown in Catalonia would stoke separatist sentiment in the Basque Country, and Basque activists actually did hold a right to decide campaign to prompt an independence referendum in 2018. But despite many people coming out to show their support, local polling in the Basque Country noted that only 14% of respondents at the time desired independence, and there was a sense in Spain that separatist sentiment had peaked. However, after a slight dip post-2017, current polling for regional elections now shows a resurgence of popularity for separatist parties. So what's going on? Well, in Catalonia, a lot of this has to do with what happened last summer, when Spain's general election ended in a hung parliament. To reach a majority, the incumbent socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez secured support from separatist parties, particularly Catalonia's Junts party. This involved striking up a controversial deal with Catalan separatists, which included an amnesty law intended for separatists imprisoned after Catalonia's 2017 referendum. Separatist parties were quite happy with this, and the deal guaranteed their support for the central government for the next 4 years, including approval of national budgets until 2027. It also allowed close Sánchez ally and native Catalan Francina Armengol to be voted in as the new Speaker of the lower house. However, while it originally seemed everything had worked out pretty well, the separatists have since made clear that their support is not unconditional, and it now looks like Sánchez will have to make a lot of unpopular concessions to keep them on side. Sánchez has done stuff like pushing the EU to recognize Catalan, Basque and Galician as official EU languages, but Catalan separatists are now using their parliamentary leverage to push for a referendum. Catalan President Pere Aragonès of the separatist Republican Left of Catalonia, or ERC, is determined that a referendum will be held, and has said he will use his party's 7 MPs as an incentive to move forwards with negotiations for a referendum. Sánchez has unsurprisingly insisted that a referendum won't happen under his leadership, describing it as a red line due to its unconstitutionality. But Aragonès is pretty upbeat about his chances, comparing the Catalonian plight for a referendum to the amnesty law, which was previously considered impossible, but eventually came to fruition. This amnesty law also brought another political headache for Sánchez, as it has paved the way for the return of exiled Junts leader Carles Puigdemont, who has stated he will stand for president in next month's Catalonian elections, despite his candidacy being immediately dismissed by Sánchez. Early April polling shows that separatist Junts and the left-wing pro-independence ERC are currently polling at 2nd and 3rd place, together reaching a 40% plurality, which would put them ahead of the first-place socialists. Puigdemont has also said that Junts' internal polls have shown that the race has narrowed after he threw his hat in the ring. Both the socialists and Junts will likely fall short of a majority, and will have to rely on the support of others. But current polling gives a narrow majority to all the separatist parties combined. Similarly, in the Basque Country, support for separatist parties has reached new highs in the past few years. For the first time, the only Basque party that actively works for independence, the left-wing EH Bildu party, considered by Madrid's conservative bloc to be effectively an offshoot of ETA, looks likely to win a plurality of Sunday's regional elections. Polling suggests Bildu are on track to receive about 35% of the vote, which would mean around 29 to 30 seats in the 75-seat regional parliament. This would give them a couple more seats than the incumbent Basque National Party, or PNV, which advocates for autonomy but not independence, and has basically ruled the region for the past 4 decades. So what explains Bildu's success? Well, they're remarkably popular with young voters, and this seems to be in part because young voters don't associate themselves as strongly with ETA and its terrorist past, and more see them as just a left-wing, socially progressive alternative to the PNV. Now, this is a strategy Bildu have actively pursued, with their campaign focusing more on social and economic issues like unemployment and affordable housing rather than independence, although they've hit the headlines recently for refusing to call ETA a terrorist group. In many ways, their evolution is similar to that of Sinn Féin in Ireland, who've become the most popular party for young Irish voters by refocusing on left-wing solutions to economic issues and away from questions of Irish nationalism. So, with separatist parties rising in the polls, does this mean we should expect Spain to split anytime soon? Well, the short answer is no. As we just mentioned, Bildu are currently doing well mainly because of their progressive social and economic policies, and polling shows that issues like inflation and the quality of public services, especially healthcare, are currently the priority for Basque voters, not independence. It's also worth noting that while Bildu might win a plurality of seats, the most likely government to emerge is probably a repeat of the current PNV-led coalition. Similarly, in Catalonia, the political focus is shifting from independence to immigration, and as optimistic as Junts might be, it's hard to imagine Sanchez agreeing to an independence referendum anytime soon, given what that would do to his standing in the rest of Spain. Catalan separatists will also be wary of pushing their luck too far, given that any concessions they extract from Sanchez are far more than what they get from the Conservatives.
That's not the end of this story either. So if you want to dive deeper into this and other stories, we have an exciting announcement. That's because it was revealed, in Variety no less, that we're building a new product with our partners at Nebula, called Nebula News. Let me explain this exciting announcement. In an increasingly polarised and confusing world, it's hard to find news that matters and that you can trust. So every day, the TLDR team curates a selection of videos that matter most in the world right now, handpicking a feed of content which should keep you up to date with everything you need. That means no more overwhelming feeds of news coverage, and instead just the stories that matter most. Videos produced by the brilliant creators on Nebula and curated by the TLDR team. It's truly the easiest way for you to keep on top of the news that matters to impress at your next wedding, dinner party, or whatever your life entails. It's not just curated news content brought to you directly by us. Nebula also features exclusive original content. That's things like Real Life Law's brand new series War Room, which every month runs you through a whole load of ongoing conflicts, keeping you in the loop. You can also watch every TLDR video on Nebula ad-free, and in many instances before they land on YouTube. Now, if you're already subscribed to Nebula, you can find the brand new Nebula News section at nebula.tv/news. And be sure to bookmark or save that link so you can use it as your TLDR-ified news homepage. If you're not a member already, then click the link in the description to sign up now. If you do, you'll get 40% off an annual plan by using our link. That's less than £2 a month. Plus, Nebula will know that you came from us, which really helps us out. Thanks for your support, especially when we're doing something so big and new, and we hope you love Nebula News.